Hey there YouTube fans, AC Productions here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install this USB power cable. What I'll be using this USB power cable will be for my Garmin GPS, which is right over here. Check it out for you, and here it is. So if you saw my video on how to install that custom bracket for your GPS or phone mount, I'll have a little link up here for that video. If you haven't yet seen it, check it out. Other than that, I do need to have this powered because even though it has a portable battery inside, it lasts for, I would say, probably about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if you're lucky. And I recently went on a ride and it didn't last. So in order to make sure that it does last, we do need to hook up power to it. So this is like an old style connector that the Garmin still uses. It doesn't use the newer stuff. So anyway, but at least this part is USB. So we're going to be connecting this to this, and as you can see, it does have 2 ports. Now I'll be using one port for the GPS, and the other port I'm going to have available and free if I wanted to use and plug my phone to charge it up while on a ride or whatnot. Instead of carrying around a power bank, you'll have a little USB connector already on your bike, and you can use it to charge your phone. All right, so let's go get to the tools that you're going to need to do this installation, and we'll get started soon after. All right, so here are the tools that you're going to need to do this installation. And by the way, guys, I finally do have a regular workbench already in the new garage, which, oh my goodness, I'm so glad to finally have, compared to my old place where I was working out of a small little tiny table that was kind of makeshift. Anyway, so we're going to need tools. We're going to need a 4mm Allen key. Right here I got a little bit. If you have this kind of bit with this kind of tool, that'd be great. If not, you could use the L-shaped Allen keys. 4mm Allen key, 5mm Allen key. You're also going to need a Phillips screwdriver to remove the screws. That's all for all the screws. A Ziploc bag to make sure that you put your screws inside so you do not lose them. If you happen to have a toolkit like this, that's pretty much where I got these little bits from. This has all the assortment of bits that you're going to need for any type of installation or working on. This definitely comes in handy. By the way, guys, I'll have a link down in the description below on all the tools that I'm using for this installation. Other than that, we also do need to extend the wires on this thing, because as you can see, these wires are very short and it's not going to do the job. So we do need a roll of wire, black and red, obviously positive and negative. After that, we may use posi taps. These are a great way of tapping into wire systems without having to splice, or I wouldn't say splice, without having to cut and solder wires to get into something. This is a good alternative if you're not really good on that or kind of afraid, which you don't have to be with my videos as I show you step by step. All right, so let's go get over to the bike and let me show you what you need to do. And besides that, you're going to need some wire strippers, because like I said, we do need to make these wires a little bit longer. So we're going to be cutting these. Pull the wire. Again, I'll be showing you on the bike. We're going to also need a hobby knife, and we're just going to cut a little slit right here in between the red and the black wire. After that, we're going to grab and splice it and tap into this one. We're going to also be tapping and splicing these to connect the 2 wires. And then after that, while we're doing that, we also need some heat shrink tubing. So if you don't have heat shrink tubing, you can also use electrical tape to wrap the wires. All right, so let's go over to the bike and let me show you what you guys are going to need to do, because we do need to remove some panels as we are going to tap into the electrical system of the bike to get this system working and in a different kind of manner. We're not really going to go straight to the battery for these cables, because this is what I want to show you. So let's go over to the bike so you can see what I'm talking about. Alrighty guys, so we're over here at the bike. As you can see, I already have the cradle for the GPS. As you can see, right behind the cradle, you're going to see this little rectangle square where my finger's at, and this is pretty much going to allow for the power cable to go through. Now the only thing I wish that this GPS or this cradle mount had was a hole for the power button, but you know, once we do this installation, we really don't need to have access to this power button. It would have been just nice to have something like that in case, you know, we didn't have any power or you're going to just run without doing this installation. All right, so as you can see, there's the cradle. Here is the part for the GPS. Now it actually snaps into the cradle. I'm not going to do that at the second, as I wanted to show you. Here's the part for where the cable goes through, and from behind where that location is pretty much where this spot is, and you would just kind of go ahead and connect it. Obviously this would be already done with the GPS already in the cradle. So actually, let me go ahead and do that so you guys could see. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and snap this in. Also, if you guys see, I have a little bit of tape up here because it does go through some abuse of getting this bracket in its place. So actually, let me get on the bike because it is a little bit, all right, so normally you could just go ahead and press it to snap it in, or you could actually hold that part and just kind of lift it up and then put it over so it doesn't really hit it so hard. All right, so now that we got that part in, when you look behind it, I'm always gonna pretty much have it on the bike unless I really wanna remove it. Then I could just go ahead and pull the cord in from the back. All right, so I already got the cord already on there, and it's going to pretty much be, I would have it probably around there, but I'm also gonna put a zip tie here. Again, I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but I kind of just wanted to give you a heads up of what it's gonna look like, and the cord will be in here and tucked away. I'll have the spare part of the USB port kind of in this area, so if I wanted to connect my phone or somehow, you know, put my phone, if I didn't want to use this cradle and use the X cradle or the X style mount instead of the GPS specific cradle, you know, you could put your phone here, and then you could also plug in your cable for your phone and charge it as well. All right, so that's pretty much the area where it's going to be. All right, so let's get started on removing these panels. So the place that I'm going to be installing this cable for power is going to be the fuse box. Now you're wondering, why not just connect straight to the battery? Yes, you can connect it straight to the battery, but the only problem is that if you connect it straight to the battery, there's always going to be constant power going to that plug, and that could be potentially draining your battery. By connecting it to the fuse box, we're going to look on the fuse box, we're going to look for a specific fuse only gets power when you turn on the bike. So when you turn on the bike, it gets power. We have our GPS running. When you turn off the bike, it turns off the power, and therefore it doesn't drain your battery. So really, it's almost like a switch. So therefore, that's why I'm connecting it in this manner. All right, so we need to get access to the fuse box. Now to do so, we need to remove these panels. We're going to go ahead and remove this little triangle piece, which is going to be one 4mm Allen key screw here, and then once you remove this screw, pull on it gently, and there's going to be another like little tab over here with a grommet, and it's like a pin like that. So just kind of grab it from the back, pull it out gently, and pull the thing out. After that, there's going to be a screw under here. I'll get to it in a second. It's going to be with a 5mm Allen key, and it's going to be on both sides. So you have to make sure you remove the panel on both sides, and then I'll show you what to do next. And if you guys are wondering why I have blue tape over here, it's because I'm still waiting for my center tank pad to come in. I know that the snakeskin pads that these particular ones came with a rubber one that would go here in the middle, but there's a specific style that I wanted to get, and I'm still waiting for that one to come in. If I wasn't looking for that one, I definitely would install this one over here. Not this one, but you know, the style that this one came in, it does come with the center piece. I would have installed it there, but like I said, I'm waiting for a different one to come in. And again, I'll be showing you a video on how to install that center piece once it does arrive. Alrighty guys, now that I got the panel removed, here is the screw that I'm talking about right there. So that's the screw. That's gonna be a 5mm Allen key, and there's gonna be one on this side and one on the other side, and that's how you're going to remove the seat. All right, now that we remove both of the screws on both sides, you can just go ahead and lift up your seat, and it should come off fairly easy. There we go. Now it is off the bike. All right, so now this is where your fuse box is located, right over here. All right, so I took the camera off the tripod so we could go mobile and you guys could see. All right, so here is our fuse box. All right, so to access the fuse box, we're gonna go ahead, and there's like a little tab right here. Gonna press it and pull it out and take it out. Now the cool thing about our little fuse box for our Gixxer is that when you flip over the fuse box, you can see that there is spare fuses in there, which is awesome, because when you're out on the road and the fuse were to pop, you actually have a little bit of everything over here to help you get back on the road. Now the only thing I wish it did have was a little fuse puller to make things a little bit more simpler, but I think maybe you could probably put one here on the side. I'm not sure. I have to look into that, and I probably will do a video on it, and if I happen to come across it, to show you guys, so that way you guys could always be prepared and having something like this. Anyway, I'll get it back to the install. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to find a fuse that only turns on when the bike is on. All right, so in order to find out which fuse actually turns on with the bike, it's pretty much common sense when you look at it. But for this video, I'm going to show you with a voltmeter, which is right here. We have our voltmeter. We're going to tap into, because over here at the top, we have, let me just take a picture of it and then show you guys here. All right, so in this video, as you can see, here is a more clearer picture of the what's displayed on the cover, we are actually going to go ahead and tap into the turn signal, which, as you could see right over here, it is 10 amps. So, but we really want to make sure that the circuit would only turn on when the bike is on, and when the bike is turned off, that circuit completely turns off. We're going to get our voltmeter and we're going to test it to make sure that that's what's going on. As you can see on the fuses, there's these two little dots on each side of the number. Now those are the little contact points where we could use to actually test it. All right, so we're going to grab our red positive lead and we're going to go ahead and put it onto the first 10 amp fuse, which is under the 7.5 fuse, which is our headlight. And it doesn't matter which point or which little dot you put it on, they're both metal. All right, so as I press it on there, you can see the voltmeter shows nothing. There is no current going on in there whatsoever. All right, so that's good. All right, so now let's go ahead and turn on the bike. Not completely, we're just going to turn on accessory mode. So we're going to turn it only one click to the right, and that's going to turn on your lights. You want to make sure that your ignition switch is on the off position. And if you don't know what that is, let me go ahead and move the camera over there so you guys can see that the up is off position, the down is on position. Okay, so now that the bike is in the accessory mode, we're going to see on that same fuse that we're testing, we're going to see if there's any power to it. So let me go ahead and put the voltmeter here, put my contact back on that little dot, and it should get power on the voltmeter. All right, so as you can see, it's showing 12.34. All right, so that's what we're going to tap into to get power for our USB cable. Okay, so now that we know the location of where we're going to be tapping into to get power, we're still going to be using the wire, but we're just going to splice a little bit more on the positive side and just, putting the cable in there. Now there is another way of doing it, which is, if you see in this picture, you see a cable, one cable with a fuse on it, and therefore that's how you could get access on the fuse without, doing it the second method, which I didn't buy that part, but here's how it looks like. So in case you guys wanted to do it a little bit more simpler, if you're able to, go to the store and get this piece. So let me just show you the way that I'm going to be doing it for today. Before we actually get access to this, we need to know how much cable that we're going to need to run to the front of the bike. So we're going to grab our roll of cable and we are going to pretty much take out as much as we can. So go ahead and put it right here. All right, so the reason for the long amount of cables, because obviously our little control box or our USB port box is going to be more towards the front of the bike, and obviously you already see how small that cable is. So I'm just going to pretty much put this cable more closer towards where the fuse box is at. I would say probably around that much. We're looking at probably like 5 to 6 feet. It's always better to have a little bit more than less, and you could always zip tie the remaining balance, not the remaining balance, but the remaining access off to the side. So let me go ahead and hold it right there and then grab it over here, and this is pretty much as much cable as I'm going to get, and I'm going to go ahead and just snip it right here. Okay, we're over back at the bench. Now we do need to make sure that we have our cables already all together before getting it back on the bike. So what I had measured about the length of this cable, it's approximately around just a few inches over 5 feet. So 5 feet, 3 inches, 4 inches, give or take, around there. You could just do exactly 5 feet, it would be fine too. All right, so we have to connect this cable to the little control box for the USB part. So you either could have some snips or we could do it with the blade. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do it with the blade. Get a little bit right here in between positive and the negative, cut right down the middle. After that, we're just going to separate it just a little bit like this. All right, so now we're going to grab our wire strippers and we are going to snip these ends, but also the ends of this seems to be like a little bit of a harder, it's almost like they soldered it, pre-soldered it. So we're not going to be soldering, we're just going to, twisting the wire together, as I'll show you in a second. But we don't want this kind of like really stiff wire. Just going to go ahead and just snip those pieces off. So go ahead and snip those two parts off. All right, so now we're going to go strip just a little bit. We don't need to strip that much off of this cable. So I would say probably around there. I would say probably like a 1/2 inch worth of cable on that side. Same thing with this one. Just go ahead and just splice that much. All right, there we go. All right, so now that you're done splicing, next we're just gonna twist the ends of the cable. All right, and do that for all of them. Go ahead and twist that one as well, and same thing with this one as well. Go ahead and just twist the ends. And once you have it all twisted, now we're gonna grab our heat shrink tubing, and we just need 2 pieces of tube to slide into the cables. Okay, so now next is going to be the heat shrink tubing. The size I'm using for this one is going to be a 332. So we don't even need that much. So I'm just gonna go ahead and probably about an inch should be good. Go ahead and make sure that they're all even. So next we're going to go ahead and we're going to slide heat shrink tube over each one. So get one over the positive, slide all the way through, get one over the negative and slide that one all the way through. All right, so now we're going to grab our cables and I'm going to try to do the best I can on showing you how I connect the two cables together. All right, so I'm going to start with the positive. I'm going to make an X from both. Then I'm just going to grab one and turn it over on that one and then turn this one over on this one, and then just keep on twisting it until there is no more of the cable left. Then once you get it on there very tight, it should look like this. Get the background. So this is how it should look like once you're done twisting both ends. Again, I'll do it again with the negative. I'm gonna go ahead and make an X. I'll say probably right there. Turn one over, turn the other one over, keep twisting it while holding that side, the other side. And then once you're done with that side, hold that side and keep on twisting it until it looks like this. Once it looks like that, go ahead and slide your heat shrink tubing. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry that it's a little blurry. Let me zoom out from the video. There you go. So once you get it, just go ahead and slide it over. Make sure that you could kind of eyeball it, that the heat shrink tubing is in the middle, or this part. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, so when you put it, don't just put it like right here and be done. Make sure that you slide it a good chunk, right about there, I would say. After that, you're gonna grab your lighter and you're just gonna heat the tube. You're gonna see how it kind of just shrinks over the cable, and that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it on using the heat shrink tubing on this part. All right, so now that we have extended our positive and negative cable from our little control unit, now let's go over to the bike and let's start putting the cable in. All right, so we're gonna be starting off to the front of the bike. Now, why you ask we're starting at the front is because obviously this cable I can't really extend. So I want these two cables obviously in an area where I can easily be accessible to them. Obviously one port's going to be taken with the power cable for the GPS. The other one is going to be free. Sorry if it's a little bit over on the overexposed side, but I'm trying to get as much light as I can over here in this dark area. So I'm going to have the pretty much these leads probably around in this little pocket area. So let me go ahead and move the camera a little bit more so you guys can see where I'm talking about. So if you guys could see right about there in this little pocket area is where I want to have these leads kind of sticking out. Probably have one hidden inside here. I'll have this part probably covered with some electrical tape so that no dirt and debris get in there. And if I ever do need to use it, I could just undo the tape and use it. The other one, I'll still have some electrical tape over it and having it already connected with the USB from the Garmin GPS. So it'll be pretty much like this. So go like that. So I'll have it connected like this and I'll have it wrapped up with electrical tape and kind of zip tied towards the bottom over there. So now that I know where I'm going to be having our little port thing or our little connector with the port, I'm just going to kind of keep it over here for now and just kind of have it there for now, just like that. And then we are going to start running our cable. Now note, another thing I kind of forgot to mention because I was kind of jumping ahead of myself a lot, is that we're going to be having the cable run through an area where it's going to be very hot and pretty much potentially get very hot. Is this because it's going to be by the engine. Now I do have something that will remedy this and that you will need to use when doing this installation, and this is pretty much heat tape or exhaust tape or whatever you want to call it. And this is meant for wires, especially wires that are going to get to the areas of that where it could get hot, like the engine or anywhere else for that matter that's going to get hot, but pretty much on the motorcycle be at the engine area. So what we're going to do right now is that we're just going to kind of measure it on the area that we're going to be passing through. That's going to be where we need to wrap this wire. Potentially I'm just going to pretty much start probably from the little control box and all the way up to probably around here. So we're looking at control box, feeding it through, and I'll probably just make a little kink on the wire. I would say probably up to there. So let me go ahead and bend the wire. Little kink in the wire, that's where I'm going to end. And let me get the little control box out of here so I can show you guys. All right, so for me, I'm going to go ahead and wrap from this end all the way to the part where I just bent it. So you guys do the same, just pull a little electrical wire and just keep on wrapping it until you get to the end. Once we're done wrapping it, I'll show you what to do next. Is pretty much start feeding the cable through the areas. All right, I already got all of my wire wrapped, as you can see, all the way to the part where I had, pretty much bent the wire. Okay, so now that I already got that already set, now we want to get a little bit of better access over here in this little panel area to, you know, put our control box and, you know, make everything nice and neat and zip tied. So what we need to do is we need to get a Phillips screwdriver and go ahead and remove that screw right there. Okay, once you remove that screw, then you can just go ahead and remove that little panel. Now let me get this cable out of the way, as this is a GPS cable. I'm gonna grab the little corner piece and then just remove it out of the way. All right, so now that we got this piece out of the way, now you could see that we have a little bit more space to work with and actually getting the control box in a nice little tuck. There's actually a nice little pocket here, area right over here that we could tuck our little, the little control box there and really zip tie the cables nice and neat. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our control box with the USB ports and start getting to it. All right, so I'll try to do as much as I can with you guys here so you guys can see what I'm doing. I will probably, let's see. Yeah, looks like there's enough space there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and clean off the backing of this little control box with some alcohol, and then I'll probably use a 3M promoter, as you can see in this picture. And then once I do that, I'm gonna put some 3M double-sided tape. Once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and unpeel it and then stick it right over here. As you can see, there is a perfect little pocket area for that box. And then I will have, let me go ahead and do that, guys, and then I'll show you what I'll be doing next. Alrighty guys, I figured just bring you back to the bench. So as you can see, it's not that much of a piece, a little bit of a clean paper, and here's the alcohol that I'm using to clean it. Just a little bit on the paper. Just go ahead and wipe it. Not that much. This is just my backup one. So the one that you'll have will be, it'll say 3M adhesive promoter on it. So once that is dry, you can go ahead and open up your packet. You're gonna take out the little spongy one, and then this already has the liquid promoter on it, and you're just gonna go ahead and wipe the area. It is gonna get very tacky once you're done wiping it, and that's that. As you can see, there's a little dirt on it. So we're gonna wait for that to dry. Once it's dry, it'll dry fairly fast. And if you want, you could actually fold this. It'll be good for at least another couple hours or so before it dries out as well. All right, so that's if you have something else going on. All right, so after that's already dry, that's like I said, you're gonna grab some of your 3M double-sided tape, and we are going to put a little piece on there. Okay, once you get your piece on there, grab your hobby knife. All right, so now we got our little piece on there. All right, let's go back to the bike. I'm just gonna go ahead and unpeel the red part, and we're gonna stick it in that little pocket area that I showed you earlier. All right, so now before we stick the little control box there, I'm just gonna grab my same little piece of paper that I had the alcohol on, and I'm just gonna wipe the area down. I just wanna make sure that the area that I'm gonna stick this to is kind of clear and free of any debris whatsoever, because you definitely don't wanna do all that work and stick it onto some debris or dust that's on there, because it's not gonna stick very well. All right, so now that we got that area clean, now we could go ahead, grab our little box. And if you guys are wondering what the little box says, I forgot to show you guys. Let me take a picture and let me show you. This is pretty much what the box says. All right, so let's grab the little control box and let's undo the back end of it. And then we're just gonna stick it in that little pocket area. Like I said, it's a perfect spot for this little guy. All right, so go ahead and peel that part off and take that part off. All right, so the way I'm gonna put it in, I'm just gonna put it in, I would say probably in the more that way. I'm gonna have the cable stick out towards the front of me so I could have maximum amount of all right, so you guys kind of, I'm gonna move the camera out of my way, but I'm gonna just make sure I stick it in there very carefully and in the way that I prefer it. You guys do the same, and then I'll show you what to do next. All right, it's in there perfect. All right, so let me go ahead and zoom in just a little bit. Actually, let me zoom out just a little bit more. Okay, so now we have our two cable, obviously the two cables on there. I'm gonna go ahead and grab one cable and put it off to the side on this side. Now that's going to be my spare accessory cable. If I ever need it, I'll have it. The other one, I'm gonna kind of put it in this little pocket area. I'm gonna grab my cable for my GPS unit. I'm gonna kind of put it up and over. Let me actually record up there. As you can see, here's the bar. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually we need to put it this way. So let's see if we have enough space to use this part of the cable, and it looks like we do. So I'm gonna grab this flat part of the cable and we're gonna put it up and over the bar, and then there's a little pocket area here. Let me see if I can kind of feed it through that area, and we're gonna push that through. It should come out to this side. So let's see how best we can get this, and I kind of feel it here. Be a little bit tricky, but just do the best you can. I'm kind of doing this with the camera in my front of me, so it'll be a little trickier for me to do this. All right, so now we got it through. We're gonna keep on pulling it until we just have enough for the GPS unit itself, or in case if you're doing this for a phone, you just want to have enough where you actually can plug to your phone or your GPS in this matter. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it like that, and then next I'm gonna we're just gonna leave that there for now. All right, so all the access cable here. All right, so that's that. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and plug this into the device. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this into the back of my GPS unit. If you're doing it for a phone, go ahead and plug it to your phone. Okay, now the reason I said for you to plug it into your device is because we're gonna have a little bit of slack. Even though we're gonna have it right there, I'm gonna give it just to pull a little bit of slack, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put a zip tie right over the cable and the bar itself. Now the reason for this is because just in case, you know, something were to happen, the thing flies off or whatever, it's not gonna go ahead and yank on this cable. And or if you happen to forget that the cable's back there, you're not gonna take the whole entire thing and possibly ruin it. It'll just disconnect from here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just grab one zip tie and get it right there, and I would say just pull enough that it will give you enough to have the cable down if you're not using the device or whatever, or enough so you could actually plug it in there without actually tugging and yanking on the cable here. All right, as you guys could see, there is the zip tie right over there. All right, so now that we got this and up and over, and the reason we have it up and over, it's better than having up and over than down and under. All right, so cable's already there. We have everything over here. Now we're gonna go ahead and we are going to connect. Let me zoom out for you guys. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, grab our cable. This is from the GPS. This is from our little converter box, and we're gonna go ahead and plug it. All right, so now that we have this plugged in, I'm gonna get some electrical tape. There we go. Sorry, I'm gonna do that again. All right, so we'll go ahead and plug it. Now that we have it plugged, I'm gonna go ahead and get some electrical tape. Now, if you happen to have a heat shrink tube that's actually as big as this guy, then use the heat shrink tube. Just go ahead, slide the heat shrink tube over here or over here. Go ahead and plug it, and then shrink the tube over the connector. If you don't have heat shrink tubing that big, just go ahead and use some electrical tape. Works the same either way. All right, so with the heat shrink tubing, this is pretty much how it looks like. I would say a little bit on the more professional side, and plus it keeps all the dirt debris. But like I said, if you don't have heat shrink tubing this big, after it's, you know, then you could use electrical tape. It does the same exact thing. All right, so now that we have all this all set and done, like I said, all this does is just keep dirt and debris and moisture and everything out. We're gonna go ahead and we are going to tidy this and put it in this little pocket here. I'm gonna get a zip tie and really put the wires really nice and neat and get it in there. Once I'm done, I'll show you how it looks like. All right, guys, now before I put everything away, I kind of just wanted to show you how I zip tied the cables. So as you can see, I have a few zip ties. I got one holding the main bunch, and then I got another one holding the connector and the bunch. Now that I have all that zip tied, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of really tuck it in over here and making sure it's out of the way and nice and neat inside there. All right, there we go. Now it's all nice and tucked away, and as you can see, you can't even tell that there's anything there because it's all inside this right here. This, I would say it's around 1.5 inches or inch or so, a little more than an inch pocket, and all the cables are right here. All right, so now that we got that going, now we're gonna go ahead and we are going to start feeding in our power cable, which is right here all wrapped up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of tuck it inside through this little panel right over here. As we tuck the cable in, we're always gonna leave this one out until the very end. We're just gonna go ahead and start tucking in this cable in through here, Let me go ahead and fix those handlebars. Push in a little bit, push it in through here, and just keep on going, the cable in through here. Once we get to over here, we need to get the cable in from the other side of the frame, get it out through here, and go along a side over here towards the back. As you guys didn't see what I just showed you, so let me do that again. We have the cable going through here, we have it up to right here. So from here, we're gonna get it in through here, gonna get it on the other end of the frame, have it come out through here, going towards the back end of the bike. Now, if you guys are having a hard time to get the cable in from the other side of the frame to here, right now, if you have like I would say, I normally use a zip tie with a little loop at the end, and I kind of just fish it in through there to grab the cable. I'll show you that in a minute. And that's what I use to grab cables from one end and grab it to come out to the other end. So now this is what I use to pull cable. It's pretty much a very long zip tie that I already cinched it out from this end. And now you're wondering, how do I uncinch it when I actually, so I use a blade and I just kind of undo from here and I uncinch it away. But anyway, that's how I do it to pull any cable that are in very tight reach places through the back end of the frame. But because over here on the Gixxer 1000, it's actually pretty open, I would say. So it's gonna have to, because I could see it through this little pocket area. See if I could even see myself explaining this to you guys. All right, so yep, from this little pocket area, I could actually see this cable. So now just a matter of actually getting it on up and over so you guys could actually reach it from this end. So if you guys are having a hard time getting it, then you could actually go ahead and use that, you know, something to grab the cable from one end or whatnot. All right, so I'm having just a little bit of a difficulty. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my zip tie, get it in through here, and I can see it from the bottom here. As you guys can see, there it is. What I'm gonna do is grab my cable, and then I will just probably tie it on there, wrap it around enough just so it won't fall off of the zip tie. Doesn't have to be that crazy. All right, and as I already had pulled the cable out, so I'm gonna have to redo this again, or maybe I could just kind of. All right, well, I'm gonna have to redo this process again, guys, because I managed to pull the whole zip tie out. But you guys know what I'm saying, so you guys just be careful when you do yours, and you should be able to pull the cable through. All right, guys, I decided to take the camera off of the tripod so you guys can see what I'm about to mention to you guys. All right, so now that we have the cable right here, here's the other part. There's actually a little pipe over here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a zip tie and zip tie this cable to this pipe over here. It's gonna kind of get it out of the way, and we don't have to worry about the heat or anything because we do have the heat tape on it, so that's gonna prevent the wires from melting at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. You guys do the same. All right, so I have the zip tied there, but I did not cinch it all the way down. It's because we still need it to be loose. We don't want to cinch it down all the way down now, because then if we do that and we get up to where we need it to get to, it might be short. So we just want to have it loose for now. All right, so next we're gonna have to put our let me grab my zip tie here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my zip tie and put it in through here and have it come out through the other end, because this is just the rubber piece holding you know, like a little rubber bumper on the tank, and it's really on there, so I'm gonna have to fish it through and have it come out to this side. All right, I already have my cable going in here now and coming in from the other end, and now it's on this side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it, and I'm again tuck that back inside and pull it the rest of the way. All right, now that we got it on this side, now we're gonna go ahead and get the cable up through here, behind here, and get it all the way up to where we need it to be over by the fuse box. So you guys do the same. All right, now it brings us up to this point. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we are going to separate our positive and our negative cable. I'm going to put this cover off to the side here, and what I'm going to use for negative ground is going to be the negative ground of the battery, and the positive I'm going to stick over to the I'm going to lift up the fuse and then stick the little part into where the fuse is going to go. All right, so let me go ahead and do that, and then I will show you what I did. So I have all the cable routing out through the bottom right over here, coming up through over here. I will probably zip tie the cable over here to secure it. So let me go ahead and see, put up to there, and I would say probably up to there. I'm also going to put a ring terminal onto the negative cable, so let me show you that. So here's the ring terminal that I was telling you about. I just happen to have one laying around, and as soon as it focuses, that'd be great. And there we go. So it's not a complete ring. It was a complete ring, but I just had to cut it off to make it look like a C, which will make it a lot easier when installing it onto the battery. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect this over here onto the negative, loosen up the screw from the negative, which a 10 millimeter socket. Just loosen it up enough for me to slide this in and then tighten it down. And then for this side, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna actually splice it. We might as well do that now. We don't have to splice that much, just a little bit. Well, didn't get it there. Let's see. I would say probably around that much should do it. Maybe just get just a little bit more. There we go. All right, now that we already spliced it, as you could see, not that much. Gonna go ahead and twist that end. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and attach the negative first, and then I'm gonna pull the fuse with some pliers and then stick this in there and then put the fuse back on. Okay, now I already got the negative on. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull the 10 amp, which is right underneath the 7.5. Go ahead, pull that out, and holy cow, it's these little tiny micro fuses. All right, so next I'm gonna go ahead and we are just going to put the positive in its little slot here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in right here, and then I'm just gonna slide the little 10 amp fuse back in its spot, which is pretty much just gonna hold it. All right, it didn't do a good job. Let me try that again, but you guys do the same and you guys will understand once you get it on there. Alrighty guys, there it is. That's how it should look like. It was a little tricky to actually get in there because I've never dealt with those little micro fuses before, but now that that is in, go ahead and zip tie the cable to this guy right over here. Now the reason we're zip tying is because we definitely don't want the cable to get yanked down or tugged on, even though our main seat will be on it. Alright, so I'm just gonna give it a little bit of slack so it has a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and zip tie right here to this hose. I'm not gonna cinch it down too tight because I don't want this hose to be pinched. Then I'm gonna go ahead and cut the excess off, and then we're gonna go ahead and put our little cover back on. Okay, everything is looking good. Everything is already cinched down with the zip ties. Alright, so now before we put everything back together, we want to make sure that the system is working like it's supposed to. All right, so let's go over to the front of the bike right now. There we go. And let me get the camera up a little. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn the key. And we're going to make sure that over here on this side that our starting engine position is on the off. And what we're going to do right now is we're just going to go ahead and turn the key once for the accessory mode. All right, so if everything should be working correctly, once we turn the key, it'll get power and it should turn on the GPS or your phone for that matter for charging. As you can see, there it is. It's already on, and as you can see, what it's saying over here, it's saying that I'll do a screenshot for you guys so you guys can see what's actually saying. All right, guys, so there is a screenshot of what this is saying. It's just letting us know that the connected power cable is not compatible with the traffic for this device. Now, what that means is that for the Garmin GPS system, there is a specific cable that's something inside the cable that gives live traffic updates for your GPS, and unfortunately, this cable is not for that. This cable is just to give us power so we don't lose power as we're using it. So I'm going to go ahead and press OK. I'm going to go ahead and press that, and as you can see the little icon over here right there, it's showing us that it is getting power. Now let me go ahead and zoom in for you guys. All right, I had to take the camera off the tripod so you guys could see it. So you can see that it has that little thunderbolt, so that means that it's actually getting power to the device. Now when we turn off the ignition, or for the accessory mode, obviously here's the key. We're going to go ahead and turn it off. It should cut power. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, you can see that the little icon for the thunderbolt turned off, and as you can see, external power has been lost, and it's going to turn off in this little timer mode. So I'm going to go ahead and let it do that. So that means that we have done everything right and everything is connected as it should. And there you go. As you can see, it already turned off, and now there is no power going to our connector there. And so that's a good thing. So everything's connected right. All right, so lastly, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and tidy up everything. The cable that I have over here, I'm gonna find a little position, or I'm gonna find a spot on the bike. Maybe I'll have it up over here where it's a little bit more easier accessible, or I just may tuck it in over here in this little pocket area. But I'm also gonna make sure that I put some electrical tape over this part, because you definitely don't want no dirt or debris to get in there and corroding the connector. All right, so this is the next thing I wanted to show you before I actually tidy up everything. Now here's a small power bank that I take with me on trips, and here is I have an iPhone, so this is my iPhone cable. If you have Android, you would have your Android cable. Now say I forget to bring my charger with me. Here's another idea you could have. You know you're going to be using this for your phone charging. So if you want, you could buy yourself a spare phone cord, and then electrical tape this, or do the heat shrink tubing on this. Therefore, you'll always have your phone cable. It's always going to be connected to your bike. Therefore, you won't have to worry about not having power for your phone when you're out on a ride. It'll be used for that. So to make sure that this works as it's supposed to, I'm going to go ahead and plug it onto the phone. As you can see, the phone is off right now, and once I turn the key, it should power the two devices as I have it connected here. As you can see, powered onto the GPS, powered on my phone. And you can see, once I click here, press agree, you'll see a little thunderbolt over there. And then over here on the phone, you could see it has a little thunderbolt on the charging port as well. And then when you go ahead and turn off your key, obviously for a second, and then it turns off over there. It says turns off over there. And then over here, you get your notification that the cell phone is not charging any longer. So you could definitely see that it works. So that's just another idea I wanted to show you guys if you're using one for one item and you always want to make sure that you have your cable with you. So I'm gonna go ahead and tidy up all of these and put it away. Once I go ahead and put that little plastic piece over there with the small screw, which is the Phillips, then you could go ahead and start tightening up everything back up. Go ahead, put your main seat back on, the 2 screws on each side, and then put the little plastic piece on this side, the little plastic piece on that side, and that you'll be done with everything else. For me, once I'm done putting everything all back on, I'll show you where I decided to put the little USB port. Okay, pretty much I'm all done. Pretty much where I had put the cable was literally right down here, and I zip tied it to this cable that's right over here. So if I ever need to use this particular port, I could just go ahead and grab it, as I could do right here, undo the electrical tape that I have on it, and then use it. For now, I don't really need it at the moment, so it's just gonna be tucked away in there. Not that it wasn't before. You see, we're working perfectly fine. Press OK, press agree, wait for the little part to go up, and there it is, the little thunderbolt on the battery, indicating that there is power getting to the system. All right, there we go. All right, guys, so that pretty much concludes the video. Hopefully you guys found this video very helpful. If you did, please smash that like button. If you haven't yet subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That way you guys are up to date with my latest videos. And if you know anyone else that's looking to do something similar to this, please share my videos. That lets YouTube know that you care about them. It also lets me know you care about them. And it's also a good thing to do because now you're helping that person out, because maybe they didn't know how to do it, or you know, they just didn't know where to look to get this information. So by you sharing the video, it helps everybody out. Alrighty guys, other than that, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you guys look underneath the video, there's going to be a small icon with a $sign. That's pretty much letting you guys know if you guys want to help support my channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. There's different denominations. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be something small, but whatever you guys give to help support me and my channel will be greatly appreciated. Other than that, if you guys dislike the videos, please smash the dislike button. Let me know in the comments below why you dislike the video. This will actually help me improve to make future videos. Therefore, it helps everyone out as well again. And what else I was gonna say, I'm pretty much at a blank right now because I just have so much content to produce for you guys. There's just not enough time in the day for me to say everything and do everything. So that's that. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.